Hi, I'm Paul. So in this video we're going to have a little talk about consciousness or subconscious mind with a big C and our regular conscious mind with a little c, also maybe known as ego. Probably going to go quite deep in this video, so please just take whatever you want to take and leave behind whatever you don't want to take. I guess in this video we'll probably also be covering a bit about reincarnations or near-death experiences. I'll probably not talk too much on it, but I think it will cover it. Also, this video is about, or I got the idea of this video from a question that I received off probably one of you who are listening today. So anyway, let's start. So we'll start off possibly with our conscious mind as we regularly know it, the little c, or ego mind. So if we look at how this mind works, we can pretty much say that we understand everything through words, thoughts and ideas, which are still words, even emotions, which are more complicated theories of words. But everything that we perceive, we usually talk through. We have an answer for it. We have a description for it. So if we take a moment in time, just this moment, what we tend to do is try to describe from this mind as much as we can with words. We take this moment and turn it into a story, which then is not this moment. We do this with people as well, turn people into stories. But I wonder if you could see what I'm trying to say here. We have the little c, the little consciousness, which describes everything in words, turns the world into the map of the world, turns everything into a description and not the real thing. So we could also say that in this little c we have a collective conscious. Now that's not the collective conscious that we usually talk about, but in this collective conscious we do have a connection-ish to other people. We have similar descriptions, similar ideas of things like, let's say, the colour red. So we can communicate in this collective consciousness, but only by words, only by descriptions, only by things that we've been taught before and can relate. But the only trouble is that words can only really fragment the real picture. They're very limited. And when I say words are very limited, like I say, if we took a snapshot of just this second, trying to turn all of my experiences, all the colours that I see, temperatures of smells, take everything and try to turn it into words. But we can't do that. Or we might be able to if we write endless books. But what I'm saying is words are very limited. So now we've touched on this little c, conscious mind, ego, possibly. We'll talk about what's behind the ego, what comes first. So this we would call the big C, or universal consciousness, or God or self. But this mind, we could also actually impose this, we could also call it the subconscious mind, the mind that we don't often tend to use. So in this mind, we don't have talk, don't have words. We just have sensations, experiences. We feel, we sense. So like I say, if we sit in this present moment, we're just a split second. Everything that's in that split second is that here and now. It's what is perfectly as it should be, without changing it with any words, just this. So this big C mind, which a lot of people do say, when you do reach this and get rid of the ego mind, that you discover that this is nothingness. Nothingness is not quite the best way of explaining it, but a lot of us also call it no thing, which just means that it's not objective. It doesn't have a description or an eye to it. But to me, I think that this mind that we call nothing is actually everything. You see, when we take away the ego, the I, the descriptions, we think that the stillness that we have is nothing. Only when we actually do it, it feels very fulfilling, very satisfying. When I say it's actually fullness, I mean that it's fully present in reality. Everything that we see here, this is reality, is true. Anything that we try to describe it as, turn into words, becomes then just a theory. So I would say that the big C conscious mind is actually everything. I kind of guess that a lot of you probably haven't been able to maybe reach that silence of conscious mind without having the words, descriptions, talk. I haven't been able to fully focus, fully stay present with just the moment to see how fulfilling it is. I tell you what, let's do an experiment and see if you can observe what goes on in your own mind through this experiment. So if I make a noise, try to stay with the noise. Just listen only to the noise, just the sound. No talking, just stay with the sound. If you do drift away, that's okay. Just observe drifting away. And what I want you to look at in this experiment is to see just how much you can stay fully on the noise itself without bringing in words. So, if I make a noise, so how much could you stay fully on that noise? And how many of you talked through it? I'm thinking a lot of people probably talked through it. But if you was actually to stay on just the noise, just to hear the noise, you would have had a sense of fulfillment. It would have felt full. It would have felt satisfying. Maybe not, I don't know. So the point is, with this big C and little c, here's where it starts getting deep. So the big C, big consciousness, universal consciousness, God, self, whatever you want to call it, isn't your consciousness. It is consciousness itself. So there's no, you have this consciousness and I have this consciousness. There's just one big consciousness, universal consciousness, the world, God, whatever you want to call it, just one consciousness. And from this consciousness comes a separate mind. A separate mind that likes to talk, describe, create situations, ideas, sensations, thoughts, emotions, whatever. So this mind essentially kind of creates an illusion from consciousness. When I say an illusion, I don't mean that it doesn't exist. An illusion is something, but it just isn't what it appears to be. But this essentially is a creation out of consciousness. So the I, my, self, is just a creation which comes out of consciousness. So let's just go back. Consciousness, big consciousness itself, is, let's just say, the world, but really the universe. So that is the world in one complete whole. Divided out of that one complete whole is the possibility of 8 billion different people. So out of that one consciousness, there's a possibility of me, a possibility of you, and 8 billion other people. And this is where quantum entanglement comes into it. I don't know whether you know much about quantum entanglement, but that's said to be the theory of life or consciousness. And quantum entanglement says everything is one with infinite amount of possibilities. So I am a possibility, you are a possibility, that tree is a possibility. So how is it we become to possibilities? Well, they're the possibilities which are created inside of the divided brain, divided mind. So this little consciousness that we have is what creates the I, creates separation. In other words, kind of creates the illusion of a self, of this and other. So if we say that what we're doing is just creating an appearance for ourselves, let's remember one big consciousness, 8 billion possibilities. Each of them possibilities are creating an appearance, which in other words we could say our world is projected onto the outside world, which creates the individual self, and we see what we see. So if this is just, as we know it, an illusion, our own dream, why the hell did I dream me with all my problems and suffering? Well, throughout our possible existence, in a sense, we've been conditioned. Our subconscious mind has been conditioned to believe life the way that it is. My red is your red, and so on. So in a sense, rather than our subconscious mind actually creating our own reality, we've been misled into somebody else's reality. into all different people's different realities. The point that I'm trying to make here is there's something that we talk about called manifestation. Whatever you truly believe, whatever you truly wish for, and you already believe that it has happened, will become real. But only when you've trained the subconscious mind fully to believe this. So remember, the subconscious mind is consciousness itself, and from out of that consciousness we create an illusion of a self, and that world is what we created. So to change this suffering, we just need to change the subconscious mind. And not only change the subconscious mind, but believe that it's already happened with all your feelings, emotions. So I did say at the beginning of the video I was going to talk about reincarnation as well. But I was only going to talk about that because if what I'm saying is universal consciousness is all one and we are all one, which, kind of is right, then this world, what we're creating, is only our dream, our creation from the separate mind. So therefore, in this, let's say, so-called death that happens to us all, this doesn't actually affect consciousness. So consciousness still continues, but then from that consciousness, we create a new dream. And I also said I'd talk a bit about near-death experience. I don't know huge amounts about it, but I have heard many people say that I remembered choosing my parents. I remember choosing my birth. I remember choosing to come here. Kind of makes sense, because it was always a dream out of consciousness in the first place. I think I've finished waffling. I know I went on pretty deep. I'm sure I probably could have made this video a little bit shorter if I thought about it, but I've just made it up as I've gone along. So anyway, thanks for listening.